What if I told you that not every Disney princess wears a crown? Because some never got one. They had the looks, they had the songs, they had the heart, courage, and royal bloodlines. Some were official, only to be demoted. Others stood on the edge of royalty, only to be quietly erased. And a few were more iconic than the crowned ones, but never even considered. Today, we're unlocking the palace doors and exposing the Disney princesses who never got their crown. Forgotten names, hidden drama, and shocking reasons why Disney refused to let these queens take the throne. This is the Disney tea they never wanted you to sip. Let's start with the most scandalous case of all, Tinkerbell. Yes, Tinkerbell was once an official Disney princess. She was part of the original early 2000s branding lineup, posters, dolls, marketing, but then she vanished. Why? Disney realized she was too big for the crown. That's right. Tink became the face of her own franchise, Disney Fairies. With straight-to-DVD movies, her own lore, and a huge following, Disney spun her off, making her the only princess ever demoted from the official lineup. No crown, no ceremony, just a quiet exile to Pixie Hollow. Another one on the list is Esmeralda from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. She was so close to royalty, not by birth, but by branding. Believe it or not, she was part of the original Disney princess merch in the early 2000s alongside Snow White, Cinderella, and Ariel. But then, she disappeared, quietly removed. Why? 2 reasons. First, the movie was too dark and mature for Disney's usual tone. And second, Esmeralda, too rebellious, too real, too independent. Did anyone else notice the striptease-like dance she performs in the movie? She was voiced by Demi Moore, who herself played an iconic exotic dancer, but that was a little too risque. She wasn't a damsel, she was a fighter, a symbol of freedom. And Disney, they didn't quite know how to market that in pink tiaras. So Esmeralda got the boot, but fans still shout her name. If any forgotten princess earned her place, it's Kida from Atlantis, the Lost Empire. She's fierce, she's ancient royalty. She literally becomes queen, and she's the heart of the story. So why was she never crowned? It's simple. Atlantis didn't perform well at the box office, and Disney's princess brand? It's more about marketing than merit. Kida didn't sell dolls or sing ballads, so she was left behind. But fans never forgot. She's often called the most powerful and underrated Disney heroine of all time. And let's be real, Kida didn't need Disney's crown. She already had her own. Next is Eilonwy. Who? Exactly. Princess Eilonwy from the Black Cauldron is literally a princess. By title, by bloodline. And she's from one of Disney's darkest animated adventures. But she's almost completely erased from Disney history. Why? Because The Black Cauldron was a box office bomb back in 1985. It was too eerie, too intense, and nearly killed Disney's animation department. And poor Eilonwy, she got swept into the shadows with it. She's technically the 3rd official Disney princess after Aurora. But Disney pretends she doesn't exist. Talk about royal injustice. Now here's the one that blows minds. Anna and Elsa are not official Disney princesses. Let that sink in. Despite Frozen being the highest-grossing animated franchise ever, despite the costumes, the songs, the theme park rides, Disney left them out. Why? Because they were too big. Disney created the Frozen brand as its own franchise, a separate kingdom, and adding Anna and Elsa to the regular princess lineup, that would have downgraded their power. So instead of joining the club, they created their own. Elsa becomes a queen. Anna rules Arendelle, and Disney keeps their merch separate to double the money. Smart business, but weird royalty rules. We all know Ariel, right? The Little Mermaid who gave up her voice, defied her father, and became Disney royalty. Now, how many of you remember her daughter, Melody? That's right. In The Little Mermaid II, Disney introduced us to a second-generation royal, a land and sea princess struggling with identity, legacy, and where she truly belongs. What if I told you that Melody, an actual princess by blood, was quietly erased from the royal legacy? Melody had a striking design, emotional depth, and all the DNA of a Disney legend. But she was born into the dark days of direct-to-video sequels, those infamous VHS-era side stories that Disney would rather you forget. And so Melody never had a chance. Despite being literal royalty, she was never acknowledged beyond her movie. No theme park mentions, no princess merchandise, and certainly no official recognition. She was cut off from her birthright, a princess born in exile. Today, she lives only in the hearts of nostalgic millennials and hardcore fans who remember what she brought to the seas. Now, let's take a break from the gowns and glitter to talk about a princess who wore no crown, Nani from Lilo and Stitch. I know what you're thinking, Nani, but she's not a princess at all, right? Well, technically, but in spirit, she ruled her own empire. After the tragic loss of her parents, Nani didn't get to cry in a tower or dream of a fairy godmother. She became one. Overnight, she took custody of her little sister, battled social workers, chased jobs, cooked meals, and oh yeah, held it together while aliens tried to abduct her kid sibling. Nani didn't get a ball, she got bills. She didn't get a magical animal sidekick, she got Stitch, a genetically engineered chaos monster who destroyed her house. And still, she never gave up. She's a queen of resilience, a ruler of real-world strength. And yet, because she didn't wear a tiara or sing to woodland creatures, Disney didn't count her. No coronation, no merchandise, no spot in the royal court. And fans saw her. They still do. Nani's exclusion is a gut-punch example of how Disney once equated worth with beauty, fantasy, and royalty by birth. But Nani showed us something deeper. Princesses aren't born in castles. Sometimes they're forged in kitchens, courtrooms, and front porches in Kauai, Hawaii. Meg, sarcastic, confident, iconic. From Hercules, she's not a princess by title, but she steals every scene she's in. And unlike other heroines, she doesn't need saving. In fact, she saves him. So why isn't Megara in the official Disney princess lineup? Because she's not marketable enough, according to internal rumors. She's too mature, too cynical, too 90s. But ask any Disney fan that watched Hercules, and they'll tell you that Megara is a queen in every way that matters. She even sings a power ballad that could go head-to-head with Let It Go. Justice for Meg. Now let's swing over to Jane from Tarzan. She's brave, intelligent, compassionate, and she literally ends up living with Tarzan as jungle royalty. And yet, no crown. Why? Because Disney draws a hard line when it comes to royalty. If you're not a born princess or married into a real kingdom, you're out. Jane didn't make the cut, but the fandom still cheers for her. She gave us one of the few princesses with a PhD energy. Now here's a rule that's quietly enforced. No non-human princesses, even if they're royalty. That's why Nala from The Lion King, a literal queen of the Pride Lands, never got the crown. Same goes to Maid Marian, the fox from Robin Hood, who was born a noble and beloved by the people. She still got nothing. Disney wants their princesses to be human, marketable, and relatable. And talking animals don't sell ball gowns. This next one hurts. Elena of Avalor is a crowned princess. She stars in her own Disney Channel series. She's Latina royalty with magical powers, songs, and real leadership moments. She even has a coronation episode. What more do you want? But she's not part of the official Disney princess lineup. Why? Because she was made for TV, not theatrical release. That's Disney's rule. No theatrical debut, no crown, even if you're a literal queen. It's one of the most blatant snubs in Disney history. And fans haven't stopped talking about it. It is interesting, however, that she's considered a visiting princess in the Magic Kingdom Princess Meet and Greets. And now, let's talk about the princess who ruled the hearts of millions of kids and basically built Disney Junior's empire, Sofia the First. She had the purple gown, the royal amulet, the castle, the animal sidekicks, and even the blessing of classic Disney princesses, like Ariel, Belle, and Cinderella themselves. So why did she vanish into the royal shadows? Sofia made her grand debut in 2012 and quickly became the face of the Disney Junior brand. Her show wasn't just popular, it was a phenomenon. Viewers tuned in to see her navigate royal life as a kind-hearted mixed background princess with a magical necklace called the Amulet of Avalor. This necklace even connected her to other official Disney princesses, giving her visions, magical guidance, and occasionally full-blown cameos from the classic royals. She had crossovers with Ariel, with Jasmine, with Milan, you name it. She was being trained as the next big thing. Merch, books, costumes, Sofia was everywhere. So naturally, fans assumed she was destined for official Disney princess status. But it never came. Despite having all the credentials and more, Sofia was quietly excluded from the official Disney princess lineup. Why? According to the unofficial whispers behind the castle walls, Disney saw her as part of a separate franchise universe, Disney Junior, a preschool brand, a different tier of royalty. Even though she literally met the official princesses, she was considered too young, and her animation style too niche for the mainline group. It stung, especially when the show ended in 2018, with no continuation and no promotion to the royal elite. Her story was wrapped up, her magic faded, and Disney moved on. So here we are, Sofia the First, the princess who had all the makings of a legendary royal, left out of the royal coronation. She walked with legends, but was denied the crown. And honestly, that's one of the biggest Disney snubs ever. But not all royalty is defined by magical origins or bloodlines. Sometimes, true royalty is defined by a legacy that stands the test of time, like the Queen of Disney herself, who's been around since the beginning, long before tiaras sparkled on Ariel's head or Belle opened a single enchanted book. There was one lady who stood by the mouse that started it all. Elegant, iconic, and timeless, Minnie Mouse was there from the very beginning. But while Mickey became a global superstar and even earned his own honorary Disneyland birthday bash, Minnie was often relegated to sidekick status. Let's be real, Minnie Mouse is Disney royalty. She's not just a leading lady, she's the first lady of animation. With her signature polka dots, her sweet yet sassy charm, and her legacy that spans nearly a century, Minnie has influenced more Disney characters than most princesses combined. But here's the twist. She's never been crowned an official Disney princess. Why? The answer is as frustrating as it is fascinating. Minnie doesn't fit the fairy tale formula. She's not from a royal bloodline, doesn't have a tragic origin story, and she's not part of a standalone animated feature film. She's more of a multimedia icon, a fashion star, a theme park legend, a pop culture icon, but not a storybook princess. So despite being beloved by fans, she's never been added to the franchise lineup, not even once. To make matters more ironic, Minnie has actually played a princess multiple times in Mickey, Donald, Goofy, The Three Musketeers, and several storybook-themed shorts. But every time, it's treated like a costume, not a coronation. And if we're being honest, Minnie Mouse might not need the crown. But after decades of loyalty, style, and trailblazing influence, isn't it time Disney gave her one anyway? This next one wore a hoodie instead of a gown. She drove a candy race car instead of a royal carriage. And yet, Vanellope von Schweetz was literally a princess. Until she rewrote the rules, introduced in Wreck-It. Ralph? Vanellope was the rightful ruler of the Sugar Rush Kingdom, hidden beneath layers of corrupted code. She wasn't just royal, she was the heart of the entire game. And when the truth was revealed, she chose not to reclaim the crown in the traditional sense. But then came Ralph Breaks the Internet, and that's when things got interesting. In one scene, Vanellope breaks into the Disney website and stumbles into a room full of iconic Disney princesses. What follows is arguably one of the most meta moments in Disney history. The princesses ask her, "Do people assume all your problems got solved because a big, strong man showed up?" She checks all the boxes. She's declared one of us. It's hilarious. It's subversive. And then she disappears again. No merchandise, no official coronation, no parade spot. Disney gave her the wink, the nod, and then quietly excluded her from the lineup. Why? Because Vanellope never fit the mold. She's chaotic. She's unconventional. She doesn't sing. She screams. She wasn't born from fairy tale folklore. She was born from code. But fans adored her because she was different. She represented the misfits, the gamers, the outsiders, and for a moment, she was inside the royal circle, only to be left outside the castle gates once again. Honestly, her voice drives me insane, so I'm happy she's left out. Next up, we have the heart of the Madrigal family, the glue that held everyone together, and the one who literally restored her family's magic. But guess what she never got? A gift and a princess title. Mirabel from Encanto had all the makings of Disney royalty. She's brave, selfless, family-oriented, and her movie was an Oscar-winning box office smash. She sang one of the most viral songs in Disney history. We don't talk about Bruno. You're singing it now, aren't you? And yet, Mirabel was never inducted into the Disney princess lineup. Mirabel saved an entire magical house and healed generations of trauma. If anyone deserves a crown, it's her. So why hasn't Disney given her one? Because Encanto was marketed as a family ensemble film, not a fairy tale. Disney seems unsure where to place her. Too modern for the old school princess club, but too iconic to ignore. Fans have called for her coronation, but for now, she remains a princess in everything but name. She only got a few minutes of screen time in The Jungle Book, but those minutes sparked the entire ending of the movie. Shanti, the village girl who lures Mowgli away from the jungle with a simple song and a glance, is one of Disney's most overlooked female characters. In the sequel, The Jungle Book 2, she's given a voice, a personality, and even an arc, but she's still treated more like a background character than a leading lady. She's human, lives in a structured society, and brings balance to Mowgli's wild upbringing. In many ways, Shanti represents the princess figure of the Jungle Book universe. Graceful, kind, and a symbol of civilization. But Disney never pushed her further. She didn't even get a doll. Shanti had all the potential to become a Southeast Asian princess icon before Raya ever existed, but she was left in the jungle, forgotten by Disney's marketing machine. You'd think a classic Disney heroine who's been around since 1951, whose film is globally recognized and whose look is instantly iconic, would be an official Disney princess, right? Wrong. Alice from Wonderland has been featured in parks, books, merchandise, even tea sets, but she's never been called a Disney princess. Why? Because Alice doesn't fall in love, doesn't rule anything, and never technically faces mortal danger. Her story is whimsical, surreal, and full of nonsense, which is exactly why fans love her. She represents imagination, independence, and the idea of growing up without losing your sense of wonder. Still, she's often lumped into the Disney Girls merchandise line, along with others who didn't make the royal cut. Alice is legendary, but Disney never gave her the coronation she deserved. Giselle from Enchanted checks every box. She sings, she loves, she transforms, she literally becomes human and gives up everything for love. And she had a big theatrical release, so why no tiara? Because of licensing. Amy Adams plays her in both animation and live action, and her likeness is legally tied to her. Disney would have to pay royalties every time they used her image, so instead of dealing with that, they just excluded her. She was almost included, but money talks louder than magic. But just when you thought we'd uncovered every lost princess in the vault, one royal storms in from a rival empire, and her name rewrote animation history. Once upon a time, there was a royal whose name echoed through history books, bedtime stories, and yes, even musical theater stages. But she wasn't born from Disney magic. In fact, she was raised in the rival kingdom of 20th Century Fox. Her name? Anastasia Romanoff. In 1997, Anastasia premiered, an animated musical so polished, so lush, and so filled with heart-wrenching songs, many people assumed it was a Disney film. After all, it had all the ingredients: an orphan royal with a mysterious past, a charming rogue love interest, an evil sorcerer, a talking bat, and an unforgettable ball gown transformation. Come on, that's textbook Disney. But Anastasia was different. She was a fox princess, a defiant answer to the Disney monopoly of the 90s. And although she was adored by millions, especially those who grew up singing Journey to the Past, she was never invited to the official Disney princess lineup. That is, until Disney bought 20th Century Fox in 2019. Suddenly, Anastasia was technically a Disney princess, by acquisition, not by coronation. But the fanfare, the merchandise, the grand princess welcome, non-existent. She was brought into the Disney vaults quietly, almost awkwardly, as if the company didn't quite know what to do with a character who had once competed directly against its crown jewels. Fans waited. Was she finally getting her tiara? Would she be added to the lineup? Spoiler alert, no. Disney kept her in the shadows, likely because her story, based on a real and tragic piece of Russian history, didn't align with their fairy tale brand. So, while Anastasia is technically now a Disney character, she's still not officially a Disney princess. She is the royal outcast who fought her way into the kingdom, only to be left outside the castle gates. And maybe that's what makes her the most legendary lost princess of all. Another princess, Odette, who wasn't a true Disney darling, came from the 1994 movie, The Swan Princess, directed by ousted Disney employee Richard Rich, and developed by several former Disney personnel. It had the makings of being a hit, with critical acclaim, award-nominated music, and based on a classic tale. However, reality sunk in as it found itself up against a re-release of The Lion King and tanked. Odette had all the makings of being a standout princess: magic spells, the quest for true love, dead parents, and animal friends. Despite these details, she couldn't survive the box office bomb and faded into home movie obscurity. Disney Channel has its own royals, like Princess Audrey, daughter of Aurora and Philip in Descendants. She's royalty by birth, sings, fights, and even turns into a villain. She has a fan base and merch, but she's not counted because Descendants exists in its own alternate Disney universe. Same goes for Mia Thermopolis, the Princess Diaries icon played by Anne Hathaway. Actual princess, full coronation, 2 blockbuster movies, but again, live action doesn't count, not even when Julie Andrews is your grandmother. The rules are strict and a little ridiculous. So what does it take to be a Disney princess? Not bravery, not magic, not love, not even royalty. No, what it takes is marketability, merch potential, and fitting into a very specific mold: animated, human, musical, released theatrically, preferably in a gown. Anyone who doesn't fit, no matter how powerful, iconic, or beloved, they're forgotten, rejected, or quietly erased. But we, the fans, we remember them. Because true royalty isn't just about crowns. It's about character. And these princesses never needed a title to prove they belonged. If you love this video, then please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.